Hi, and today we're going to talk about one of the biggest concerns every English learner has: how to speak English without making grammar mistakes. If you've ever hesitated before speaking because you were unsure of your grammar, or if you've been corrected in the middle of a conversation and felt embarrassed, then this video is for you. Don't worry, you're not alone. Speaking English with perfect grammar can feel like a big challenge, especially when you're speaking in real time. But the good news is, with the right strategies, practice, and mindset, you can drastically reduce your grammar mistakes and speak more confidently in your daily conversations. Let's begin by understanding why grammar mistakes happen. When we speak our native language, grammar comes naturally because we've heard and used it for years, from childhood. But when learning a new language like English, we're not just learning words. We're learning structures, tenses, sentence patterns, and how words work together to express different ideas. It takes time for our brain to get used to that system. That's why, at first, we may speak using translations from our native language, which can lead to grammar errors. The key to improving is not just learning grammar rules, but practicing them in real-life situations until they become second nature. One of the first steps to speaking English without grammar mistakes is to stop trying to speak too fast. When we rush, we don't give our brain enough time to organize thoughts, choose the right tense, or pick the correct preposition. Slow down, speak a bit more slowly and clearly, and you'll notice that you make fewer mistakes. This also helps listeners understand you better and gives you more confidence. For example, instead of saying quickly, "He go to school yesterday," which is a tense mistake, slow down and think, "He went to school yesterday." You see the difference? By taking a moment, you gave yourself the chance to correct the sentence. Another important point is to build a strong foundation of basic grammar. You don't need to master every complex grammar rule right away. Start with the basics that are used every day in spoken English. These include present simple, past simple, future tenses, common prepositions, articles like a and the, subject-verb agreement, and question formation. If you get these right, you can communicate effectively in most situations. For instance, focus on using present simple correctly for daily routines. I wake up at 7 a.m. She works in a bank. We eat dinner at 8. Practice these types of sentences until they feel natural. Let's do a short practice together. I'll say some sentences, and you try to repeat them after me or write them down. Think about the structure as you say them. Ready? I live in a small town. He doesn't like coffee. Do you go to school every day? They went to the park last Sunday. We're watching a movie right now. Now go back and listen to each sentence again. Notice the verb tense, the helping verbs, and how the sentence is formed. This kind of focused practice helps train your mind to recognize correct grammar. It's also helpful to pay attention to the most common mistakes English learners make. By being aware of them, you can avoid making the same errors. For example, one common mistake is forgetting the S in the third person singular present tense. Learners often say, "she go to work," instead of "she goes to work." Another mistake is using the wrong verb tense, like saying, "I am go to the market," instead of "I am going to the market," or "I go to the market." Articles are another area where people often struggle. Knowing when to use a, an, or the can really improve your grammar. For instance, you say a dog when you're talking about any dog, but the dog when you mean a specific dog. Reading and listening to English every day is a powerful way to improve your grammar naturally. When you read books, articles, or even subtitles in English, your brain starts to recognize patterns and correct grammar usage without you having to memorize every rule. Listening to podcasts, watching English TV shows or movies, and even listening to YouTube videos like this one can help you hear how native speakers use grammar correctly in context. Over time, these patterns become familiar, and you start to copy them when you speak. Another tip is to speak English as often as you can. It might sound obvious, but many learners focus too much on reading and writing and don't practice speaking enough. And when they do speak, they're afraid of making mistakes. But here's the truth. Making mistakes is part of learning. Instead of avoiding speaking, use every chance you get to talk. Speak to yourself when you're alone. Describe what you're doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am cooking pasta. Now I am watching a video about grammar. This self-talk helps reinforce correct grammar in everyday situations. Let's try another small practice session. I'll say an everyday situation, and you form a sentence using proper grammar. Ready? You are eating breakfast. What will you say? I am eating breakfast. You go to the store yesterday. What do you say? I went to the store yesterday. You are watching a movie with your friends. Say it aloud. I am watching a movie with my friends. You didn't like the food. Say it. I didn't like the food. Try these several times to get comfortable with the sentence structure. To make fewer grammar mistakes, another thing you can do is to learn in phrases instead of individual words. When you learn vocabulary, try to remember full sentences or common phrases that include the word. This helps you learn grammar naturally. For example, instead of learning just the word hungry, learn the full sentence, I am hungry. Then also practice. Are you hungry? Or he is not hungry. By learning in chunks, you avoid mistakes like saying I hungry or he hungry. The more you practice these full phrases, the more fluent and grammatically accurate you'll become. Also, recording yourself can be a powerful tool. When you record your speech and listen back, you'll notice mistakes that you didn't catch while speaking. You may realize you used the wrong tense, forgot an article, or used the wrong word order. Don't be afraid to listen to your own voice. It's a great way to improve. Try recording a 1-minute introduction about yourself. Listen to it and note down any grammar errors you hear. Then try again, making corrections. This is how you develop accuracy. Sometimes, we need a little help to catch our mistakes. If you have a language partner or tutor, ask them to correct you when you speak. If you're in a classroom setting or using online platforms, don't hesitate to ask, is this sentence correct? Or, can you help me say this better? Getting feedback is essential, but even if you don't have a partner, you can use grammar-checking apps to review what you write or say. Some apps allow you to speak and then give you a transcript. Check that transcript to see if your spoken grammar is accurate. Another key aspect of speaking English without grammar mistakes is mastering sentence structure. In English, the typical sentence structure follows a clear pattern: subject, verb, object. When learners try to translate directly from their native language, they often change this order, which leads to confusion or errors. Let's take an example. A learner might say, "To the store I went," because that's how it sounds in their own language. But in English, we say, I went to the store. The subject comes first, then the verb, and then the object or extra information. By always remembering this structure, you'll already avoid many grammar mistakes. Also, make sure to understand how different tenses work in real conversations. The simple present is used for regular actions or habits, like, I eat breakfast at 8, while the present continuous is for actions happening right now, such as, I am eating breakfast. Many learners confuse these two and say things like, I eat now, which sounds unnatural in English. In the past tense, we often see mistakes in irregular verbs. For instance, learners might say, I goed, instead of I went, or he bringed, instead of he brought. These irregular forms need extra attention and regular practice. Let's now do a short tense identification practice. I will say a sentence, and you think about which tense is being used. First sentence, she plays the guitar every day. That's present simple. Next, they are studying for the exam right now. That's present continuous. Third, we watched a movie last night. That's past simple. And finally, I will call you later. That's future simple. These simple exercises help you become more aware of grammar patterns in real time. Using grammar correctly is not just about knowing the rules, but also about knowing how to use the right tone, formality, and expressions in different situations. For example, when you're talking to friends, your language is more casual. What's up? I'm gonna go. But in professional or academic settings, grammar becomes more important, and your language must be more polished. How are you? I'm going to attend the meeting. So, practice speaking in different tones and settings. Imagine you're talking to your boss, then practice the same conversation with a friend. This helps you adjust your grammar according to the situation. Here's a helpful practice idea. Every evening, talk about your day in English using full sentences. Describe what you did, where you went, what you ate, how you felt. For example, today I woke up at 7 a.m. I had coffee and toast for breakfast. Then I went to work and finished 2 important tasks. In the evening, I watched a documentary and now I'm learning English. This kind of daily practice helps solidify past tense usage and sentence structure. It also improves your fluency and makes you more confident in using grammar without overthinking. Prepositions are another area where grammar mistakes often occur. Words like in, on, at, to, for, and with can be tricky because they often don't translate directly from other languages. For example, we say on Monday, in the morning, at night, at the bus stop, go to school, good for you, and talk with him. These small words carry a lot of meaning, and using them incorrectly can change the meaning of your sentence. So, you need to practice common prepositional phrases regularly. Try writing your own examples or repeating phrases like, I am at home, he is good at playing guitar, we are going to the cinema, and she is in the kitchen. Let's now do a quick preposition correction exercise. Listen carefully. I'll say some incorrect sentences and you try to fix them. He is good in cooking. What's the correct version? He is good at cooking. Next, I will meet you at 5 p.m. What's wrong? It should be at 5 p.m. Another one. She lives at New York. That should be she lives in New York. These small corrections make a big difference in how professional and accurate you sound. Pronouns are another important grammar area that learners sometimes misuse. This includes subject pronouns like I, he, they, and object pronouns like me, him, them. A common mistake is saying, me and my friend went to the market, instead of my friend and I went to the market. Or saying, she gave I a gift, instead of she gave me a gift. To avoid this, just remember, the subject does the action, and the object receives it. I saw him. They invited us. She helped me. Practicing these small shifts will greatly improve your sentence clarity and accuracy. Another smart way to improve your grammar while speaking is by shadowing native speakers. Shadowing means listening to short audio or video clips of English speakers and repeating after them, word for word. Trying to match their pronunciation, rhythm, and grammar. This is one of the best ways to absorb correct grammar naturally. Find a short clip, maybe 30 seconds long, and listen to it carefully. Then repeat it out loud several times. You can even record your version and compare it with the original. This helps your brain get used to correct grammar usage in real time. Let's do a small shadowing session together. I'll say a sentence slowly, and you repeat after me. Ready? I have been working on this project for 3 days. Again, I have been working on this project for 3 days. Next sentence. She usually drinks tea in the morning. Repeat it now. She usually drinks tea in the morning. One more. They are planning a trip to the mountains next weekend. Practice this one. They are planning a trip to the mountains next weekend. These sentences include useful tenses and grammar patterns that are common in daily life. Now let's talk about another area where grammar mistakes often happen: question formation. In English, making questions follows specific structures that are different from normal statements. For example, you don't say, "You are coming?" Instead, you say, "Are you coming?" The verb and subject switch places. If you want to ask about something specific, use a question word. What are you doing? Where did she go? When will you arrive? A common mistake is saying, "Where you are going," instead of "Where are you going?" Practicing the correct form of questions helps you sound more fluent and avoids confusion in conversations. Try this short question formation practice. I'll give a statement, and you turn it into a question. Statement: He is reading a book. What's the question? Is he reading a book? Another one. They went to the party. Turn it into a question. Did they go to the party? One more. You like pizza. Make the question, do you like pizza? Doing this regularly will help train your brain to automatically form questions the right way. Let's now take a moment to focus on modal verbs, which are words like can, should, must, might, and would. These help express ability, possibility, obligation, or advice. A lot of learners make grammar mistakes while using modals. For example, they might say, "He can goes," which is wrong. The correct version is, "He can go." After a modal verb, always use the base form of the verb. She should study more. You must be careful. They might come later. Make it a habit to notice how modal verbs are used in real conversations and practice creating your own examples using different modals. Let's do a short exercise with modal verbs. I'll say a situation, and you create a sentence with a modal. Situation: You're giving advice to a friend who studies late every night. What do you say? You should sleep earlier. Next. Your sister wants to lift a heavy box. What can you say? You can ask for help. One more. Your friend is thinking of skipping class. What do you say? You must attend your classes. Creating these kinds of examples every day will help you internalize the rules and reduce grammar mistakes. It's also important to stay consistent with subject-verb agreement. This means the verb must match the subject in number and person. Many learners say things like, "They was happy," instead of "they were happy," or "he go to school," instead of "he goes to school." A helpful trick is to read your sentences aloud and listen for what sounds right. Try practicing with simple examples like, "She writes well." They write every day. I walk to work. He walks to work. Notice how the verb changes depending on the subject. Another powerful way to avoid grammar mistakes is to use fixed expressions or sentence starters that you've already learned and feel comfortable using. This gives you a strong base and reduces the chance of errors when you're speaking. For example, you can start sentences with phrases like, "I think that," "in my opinion," "as far as I know," or "it seems to me that." These are grammatically correct and give you a second to organize your thoughts. While sounding confident, You don't have to invent new sentence structures every time you speak. Instead, build a collection of expressions that you use naturally. Over time, your grammar will improve because you're using correct patterns repeatedly. You can also learn grammar through stories. Listening to or reading short stories in English exposes you to natural grammar in action. You get to see how tenses, sentence structures, and vocabulary come together in a meaningful way. After listening to a story, try retelling it in your own words. For example, if the story says, Sarah woke up early, made breakfast, and left for work, you can say, she got up early, prepared her breakfast, and went to the office. This kind of storytelling helps you practice past tense, connectors, and word order, all while building your confidence. Let's do a mini story practice now. Listen carefully. Tom was feeling tired. He didn't sleep well the night before. He made a cup of coffee and sat down to work. Around noon, he took a short break and called his friend to relax. Now it's your turn. Try to retell the story in your own words. You might say, Tom was very tired because he didn't sleep. He drank coffee and worked. Later, he took a break and called his friend. This practice helps you stay aware of past tense usage and keeps your grammar in check. It's also useful to practice talking about the future. Many learners struggle with using will, going to, and the present continuous for future plans. For example, I will travel next year is used for decisions made at the moment. But if you've already planned it, you can say, I'm going to travel next year. And for fixed arrangements, use the present continuous. I'm meeting my friend tomorrow. Understanding these small differences helps you avoid grammar confusion when speaking about the future. Let's practice future grammar forms. Say these sentences after me. I will study harder from now on. Repeat, I will study harder from now on. Next, I'm going to visit my grandparents next weekend. Say it again. I'm going to visit my grandparents next weekend. And finally, I'm meeting my teacher tomorrow at 10 a.m. Again, I'm meeting my teacher tomorrow at 10 a.m. These simple sentences use correct grammar and help you speak about future plans with clarity and accuracy. Grammar mistakes also come from translating directly from your native language. Different languages have different structures, and word-for-word translation often causes confusion. For example, in some languages, people say, he very happy, but in English, we say, he is very happy. Always include the verb to be when necessary. So instead of thinking in your language and then translating, try to start thinking directly in English. It takes time, but it's one of the most effective ways to speak more naturally and with fewer grammar mistakes. To help train your brain to think in English, try this simple practice. Every time you see an object around you, describe it in English. For example, this is a red book. The fan is on. I am sitting on a chair. These small, correct sentences help your mind get used to English grammar naturally. You can also speak to yourself in English while doing daily activities, like cooking, walking, or cleaning. Say things like, I am washing the dishes. Now I'm cutting vegetables. I need to buy some milk. This kind of self-talk is a great way to practice grammar without pressure. Another area to focus on is articles. A, an, and the. Many learners forget to use them or use them incorrectly. For example, they might say, I saw a movie instead of I saw a movie. Or they might say, he is the doctor, when they mean, he is a doctor. The rules are simple. Use a before words that begin with a consonant sound, an before words that begin with a vowel sound, and the when talking about something specific or already known. Practice using these articles in daily speech to avoid grammar mistakes. Let's try a quick article practice. Repeat these sentences. I saw a bird in the garden. Again, I saw a bird in the garden. Next, she bought an umbrella because it was raining. Repeat. She bought an umbrella because it was raining. One more. The movie we watched last night was exciting. Say it again. The movie we watched last night was exciting. These sentences show how to use a, an, and the in real situations. One more practical tip is to write every day, even if just a few sentences. Writing helps you slow down and think carefully about your grammar. You can write a short diary entry like, "Today I felt happy because I had lunch with my best friend. We talked about our weekend plans and shared a few jokes. I'm looking forward to Saturday." After writing, read it aloud and correct any mistakes you notice. This writing and reading process helps reinforce grammar in your mind and improves your speaking too. You should also take advantage of grammar checking tools while writing. Tools like Grammarly or simple built-in spell checkers can show you grammar mistakes in your text. Pay attention to those corrections and try to understand why they're wrong. For example, if you wrote, "He go to school every day," and the tool changes it to, "He goes to school every day," then you'll learn the importance of adding "is" to third-person singular in the present tense. Don't just rely on the tool. Learn from it. Let's now finish with a final practice exercise that combines many of the grammar topics we've discussed. Listen to the short paragraph, then try to repeat it aloud with the correct grammar. Here we go. I usually wake up at 7 a.m. I take a shower and eat my breakfast. Then I leave for work. Today, I am working on a new project with my team. We have been planning it for a week. Tomorrow, I'm going to present it to our manager. I hope everything goes well. Try saying that slowly in your own words. You can pause after each sentence to practice. This kind of combined grammar exercise helps you use present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and future forms correctly in one flow. Remember, learning grammar is not about being perfect. It's about becoming better every day. The more you speak, write, and listen, the more natural your grammar will become. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are a sign that you are learning. The key is to notice the mistake, learn the correct form, and try again. Slowly, your grammar will improve, and you'll feel more confident in every conversation. So from now on, focus on practicing correct sentence structures, understanding tenses, using prepositions properly, mastering question forms, and building your vocabulary through daily speaking. Use short phrases and expressions that you feel confident with. Read English out loud. Listen to native speakers. Repeat after them. Speak English every day, even if it's just to yourself. Keep a grammar notebook to write down new rules and corrections. And most importantly, keep going. The more you practice, the fewer grammar mistakes you will make. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this video helps you become more confident in speaking English with correct grammar. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel